Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. All praises to Yahweh, Baal Shem Yahweh Shah, Baal Shem Rikah Kadash. Now, when it's talking about God's rest, let's let the scriptures bring it out. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 6 gave a good explanation. It says, seeing therefore it remaineth that some must enter therein, and they to whom it was first preached entered not in because of unbelief. So, who was first preached to? You see, that's the nation of Israel. It was first preached to the nation of Israel. And so, that's what the whole situation was about. Entering into the rest of the Most High was told to these Israelites that they can enter into his rest, but the ones that didn't believe, they're not going to be able to enter into the rest. So let's see, what is his rest? What is his rest that he wouldn't let them enter in? The ones that didn't believe, because that's what Hebrews talking about. And it's really talking about these 2/3, because they don't believe. See? And due to their unbelief, and that's what Romans talks about. In Romans 11, it talks about them being blinded because the unbelief is what's really blinding them. Let's see. Let me see if I can find that real quick. It talks about the unbelief of the 2/3. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. When you look at Romans 11, now I'll just give verse 20. It said, well, because of unbelief, they were broken off, and thou standeth by faith. So he was saying these 2/3 was broken off, and he was saying you stand by faith that you believe. Be not high-minded, but fear. So the 1/3, they gonna stand, or they standing by the belief. They gonna be the believers, the 1/3. They gonna be on that narrow road, as Matthew 7:13 talks about. The narrow road is gonna be the 1/3. The 2/3 is gonna be that broad and spacious road that's leading off into destruction. But let's get what the rest. What is God's rest that the 1/3 who believes is gonna enter into? Because that's what the conversation was about at the end of the day in Hebrews chapter 3 and 4. It was talking about the rest of God, but most people don't understand the rest due to Christianity. Now, when you look at Psalms 132, let's see here. I'm going to start at 12. It said, if thy children will keep my covenant, who he had a covenant with, the nation of Israel, and my testimony that I shall teach them, their children also shall also sit upon thy throne forever. And he talking to the house of David, but the house of David represents the 1/3 of the Israelites. Now, in verse 13 and 14, it breaks it down. It says, for the Lord has chosen Zion. He has desired it for his habitation. 14. This is my rest forever. Here will I dwell, for I have desired it. You see? So he let it be known, and he established it that this is going to be his dwelling place forever. You see, the nation of Israel, the house of David, the 1/3, who's going to sit on the throne, this is going to be his dwelling place forever with the children of Israel. And see, this is why James, when he was quoting Peter, he said this in 15. In Acts 15 and 16, he said, after this will I return and will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up again. So James was talking about what Peter had did, and he was saying that the prophets talked about God setting up the house of David again, because he said he was going to dwell there forever, and that was going to be his rest. That's what they was entering into. Because when you go to Isaiah, let's get that in Isaiah. Isaiah 14. Why did they need to enter into his rest? Verse 14. And I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, the people shall take them and bring, this is Isaiah 14:2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, who captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Verse 3. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give you rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. So the rest is the nation of Israel coming out of captivity and entering into their everlasting kingdom. Now when you get to verse you jump down to verse 7, it tells you how things is gonna go. He say the whole earth is at rest. What's this verse 7 of Isaiah 14? The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. So when the nation of Israel come out of captivity, that's when the whole earth is going to be at rest. And so you're going to have it where that's what he was saying about the rest of the Most High, is when the nation of Israel begins to rule. And that goes back to Proverbs. Let's see, is it Proverbs? Bear with me just a moment. Proverbs breaks it down wonderfully. It tells the story just how it's supposed to be told. And it's talking about how the rest of the Most High is going to be. How is the rest of the Most High going to be? Salakia. Proverbs 29 verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. That's why Isaiah said the whole earth broke out singing, because the nation of Israel has entered into their rest, which is the rest of the Most High. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. You see, because the poor is going to be the nation of Israel, and pretty much that's what it's all about. The righteous and the wicked. The righteous is going to mourn because the wicked is at rule, the nation of Edom. So that's the rest of the Most High, when the righteous is ruling. You see, I got Isaiah 32:18, and my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. So that's the rest that the Most High is talking about. His people, who is his rest forever. See, he wasn't going to end the rest of the Israelites. That was for the nation of Edom was going to have an end, but the Israelites wasn't going to have an end. And now, what is that? 57. When you look at Isaiah 57, verse 2, it say, He shall enter into peace. They shall rest in their beds, each one walking in his uprightness. And so he's talking to the nation of Israel. And that's the rest of the Most High, the nation of Israel. And it's going to be a kingdom, an everlasting kingdom, like Daniel 7:18 talks about. That's going to last forever and ever. Now in Revelations 21, it describes this kingdom. 21:12 is saying it had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the 12 gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. So these are the people that's going to be ruling this kingdom. And then let's see here. In verse 10 it says, "And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem." You see, this is going to be Jerusalem, the new Jerusalem. The new heavens and the new earth is New Jerusalem. The rulership of the nation of Israel. Now when you go to Revelations 21:18, it says, "And the building of the wall of it was jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass." The city was pure gold. You jump down to verse 21, and the 12 gates were, it said, "And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass." So it described this city by detail, and that is the representation of the kingdom of Israel. And so that's the rest of the Most High. Like he said in Psalms 132, "This is my rest forever, the nation of Israel." But I'm going to leave it there. All praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekakadash. Double honor to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.